Welcome back to another Birds Digital Poem podcast. It's our final stroll down memory lane, our last recap of the prior Olympic tournaments, as we are now very much on the home stretch to Milano-Cortina. So we've got one more to do, but to remind you, all this week we have been recapping the last 4 prior Olympic tournaments that I have been involved with since 2010, and the last of these to do is 2022 in Beijing, the most recent Olympics. And it's crazy how even 4 years ago the PyeongChang still wasn't even a possibility. I mean, it's crazy to think back, right, how little did we know after those Beijing Olympics that in about roughly 18 months time we were all going to be involved in what has got to be the best thing to have ever happened to hockey. Okay? And it was just, I mean, Beijing, it still feels recently in the back of the mind. And, I wasn't really in the mood for that season, because obviously COVID was still, an issue. We, in the UK, didn't come out of COVID restrictions properly until about Easter of 2022. So I remember these Olympics. I wanted to try and get excited for them, but COVID was a huge problem. It really was. It was a huge, huge problem, and it was really hard to get excited for the Olympics. But we made the best of what we could do in a bad situation. Of course, obviously, Chow was being completely all over the place. Yep, we're going. Now we're not going. We're going to an All-Star weekend. That's going to be the stand-up. It's not. It's like just, yeah. So, I'll admit, I wasn't really on fine form when the last Olympics were around, because we were pretty much still, trapped in this never-ending cycle of a global pandemic. And I think we felt that as well, as a whole. It was just, because obviously these games, they had to be played under COVID conditions. While the games had a massive delay, I think it was between Canada and the ROC. There was like a 95 minute delay to the game. I remember we were going to watch that, and me and Lady were literally like, what is going on here? It was on Eurosport. The broadcasters had no clue what they did. They weren't really keeping us informed, and we were just literally had to basically guesswork what was going on. So it was a really hard tournament to be excited for, to be engaged with, because of the situation that we were in. And it was just, and it's a shame, because we talked briefly about with PyeongChang how when the USA won gold in PyeongChang, we all collectively kind of felt that was kind of going to be the changing of the guard moment. That would be where, because up to that point, Canada had dominated 4 Olympics in a row, 2002, 2006, 2010, of course, 2014. And we all thought with the US winning gold in PyeongChang, this was going to be their moment when they would now establish their dominance, and they would then say win 2 or 3 Olympics in a row. That ended up not being the case, and it kind of felt, when you reflect on that tournament in 2022, it kind of felt the USA took a step backwards when really they should have been taking the steps forward. Because you went into those Olympics in Beijing, not just the reigning gold Olympic medalist, but you were also the reigning gold world medalist. Because the last Worlds to happen before 22 was 2019. The infamous tournament Test Virginia cannot let go. Alright? Yeah, so you kind of felt there was supposed to be this moment where we would now be the dominant team, and it didn't feel like straight away Canada just retook the gold, and it was also 2018 a bit of a blip. We'll see what happens. Also, we get to Milano-Cortina in a few weeks' time. We'll see how that goes there. But yeah, so it just didn't feel like the moment that we were expecting to happen, and the USA would assert its dominance in the international stage. It kind of felt we took a massive step back, which has led to the changes that we've made, which has now sort of turned the corner. I mean, we won gold in the Worlds at 2023 and then again in 2025. We've shown real dominance over Canada in the last 6 international meetings, going all the way back to last year's World Championships in Prague. So it kind of feels like the changes we made are really effective, and we'll see how they go in Milano-Cortina. But we've got one more Olympics to look back on, and that, of course, is in Beijing. And yeah, now this was a huge turning point for women's hockey because this was the first tournament, the first Olympic tournament where 10 teams would compete. Prior before that, you only had 8 teams compete in the women's tournament. And then this games, we saw 10 compete for the very first time, which is absolutely just amazing, and long made that continue. So yeah, so 10 teams. There's going to be 2 more extra rankings positions to go through when we get towards the end of the show. And I just remember going into these Olympics just not really feeling in the mood, because the way the world was right now, I just felt the last thing we needed is a sporting event. And I remember in 2020, I did not look forward to when the Stanley Cup playoffs took place in that bubble. I wasn't even interested in the MLB season, despite the fact that my Oakland A's did win our division that year, the last ever trophy we would ever win. But I wasn't really up for sports in the middle of a global pandemic, because that was not on my mind. And even in the 2 seasons that followed 1920, still was not really in the mood, because it just didn't feel right. And that in the run up to Beijing, the NHL really was just being absolutely completely ridiculous. I mean, one point they're like, yeah, we're committed to going, then we're not. We're gonna have the All-Star weekend in Vegas, that could be the send-off. Then, no, it's not. It's just like, I just had myself thinking then, do you actually like the Olympics or not? Because, I mean, so I'm still not convinced that we are definitely going to see the actual players in Milano-Cortina, but I'm sure we'll find out in a few days' time. But I'm just still not convinced, because I just feel like, and of course they really have messed with my build-up to these games with all the hoo-ha, palaver, dramas of Santa Clarita Arena. They really, so I feel like the NHL really is getting on my last nerves now. It really is. I don't know how much more I can take to hear it becomes international game, but anyway, so yeah, so I was finding it really hard and had to rely on Lady Luck to try and get me sort of boosted for these games, because, guys, how much I was winning Olympics, but it was really hard that year, given how we were still stuck in a global pandemic. Anyway, so let's get straight to the recap, shall we? So Canada reclaimed the gold medal at the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics women's ice hockey tournament, defeating the defending champion United States 3-2 in the final on the 17th of February 2022. The victory marked Canada's 5th Olympic gold in the sport. Finland secured the bronze medal with a 4-0 shutout victory over Switzerland. The tournament featured 10 teams divided into 2 groups, with the final standings exactly repeating those of the 2021 IHF Women's World Championship. Did we have one in 2021? I thought we didn't. I'm going to Google that. Right. Bear with me 2 seconds. I thought we didn't have them because of COVID. Hold on a second. My guy's doing on-air attraction. Hold on. Okay. So 2020 it was cancelled due to COVID. But 2021 they did hold a tournament, and that was Canada went right. Okay, retraction. So going into Beijing, USA were defending gold medalists, and Canada were defending world gold medalists. Right, okay, retraction. I thought they didn't get held in 2021. Confusion. Right, so 2021 they did hold the World Championships. Again in 2022, and then obviously as the ball. Right. Okay. Right. There we go. Right, that clears that up for me. Right. You gotta remember I did not know about the World Championships of the P-Dirt Sharp, so do forgive me for that. Right, let's get back to it. So Brianne Jenner was named MVP after tying the Olympic record for goals in a single tournament with 9. Sarah Nurse set a new Olympic record for most points in a single tournament with 18 points. Captain Clutch, briefly then, scored twice in the gold medal game, becoming the only player, male or female, to score in 4 different Olympic finals. LA Lesbian made 38 saves in the final to secure the win, finishing the tournament with a 1.80 goals against average. So Canada jumped to a dominant 3-0 lead. To a dominant 3-0 lead by the middle of the second period, with goals from Sarah Nurse and 2 from MPP. The United States attempted a late comeback. Harry Knight scored a short-handed goal in the second period, and Amanda Kessel adding a goal with only 13 seconds remaining in the game. Despite being outshot 40-21, Canada held on for the regulation victory. Yeah, I remember watching this fight. It was very lackluster, because the majority of the women's games we had to watch on Eurosport, and then BBC held the 2 medal matches. And I remember the bronze medal match being a little bit more exciting than the gold medal match, because this gold medal match, it felt a bit lackluster, and our commentary team weren't helping matters either. But and me and they were kind of like looking to us thinking, they're not really engaged at all, are they? And we were like, nope. Yeah, it just felt like Canada were the best. I mean, both teams were evenly matched in the tournament in the earlier stages. Okay, we were both dominant in the United States stage of the tournament, and then Canada took it another level when it got to the finals. And I think we both collectively agreed that Canada were the better team in this game, and you know, it just didn't feel like the USA really had any fight in it. So that goal that came late in the game was like, I was like, it's one of those moments where you think like, yeah, you will be happy because your team score, but you just know in the back of your mind thinking, yeah, can't really do anything about it now, can we? It's just, yeah, it's just too late in the game, eh? Too late in the game. Yeah, but Canada just were incredible in Beijing, and it kind of felt like a redemption for them, you know, because they kind of felt in 2018 maybe that should have been theirs, and then obviously, so this kind of felt like a redemption for them, especially how 2019 in the World they didn't even go to the gold medal match. So Canada kind of felt that these games would kind of be seen as a redemption to prove that we are still that dominant nation that we all know they are. So yeah, but it was a tough tournament to basically get excited for, because COVID was just making it really hard to get engaged and enthusiastic about. But obviously, you know, it was a hard time. It really was. It was really hard to get excited for the games. And I remember just thinking, and I felt like that with all the sports I watched this last games, I kind of all sports I watched, I kind of find it was really hard to be engaged as I normally am, because we still got outside our doors. We still got the horrors of COVID-19 ransacking our streets, so it was kind of hard to get involved with. Yeah, so it was really tough. Yeah, Canada just really took it in this tournament. They were the better team by a country mile, and it was nothing much they could do about it. Nothing much. Yeah, so 10 teams as a whole was really great. Because I felt we kind of needed a bit more teams. It was a bit bizarre where we had 8 teams, and yet the men have at least, what was it, 12? Because the men have 3 groups. So it's like, why are we only having 8 teams when they've got at least more than that? So, yeah, so long may that continue. Hopefully one day we'll have a women's tournament similar to the men's, and because more nations will be climbing the ranks with their developing their programs. But it's fine for now. Well, I'll go through the fire ranking show. So in 10th place we had Denmark. 9th place were the hosts China. 8th place was Sweden. So Sweden's decline getting worse by the minute. 7th place was Czechia. 5th place. Oh no, sorry. 6th place first. 6th place was Japan. 5th place was the ROC. 4th place Switzerland. And then bronze medal went to Finland. Silver medal went to the United States. And gold medal went to Canada. So yeah, so all in all, Canada really just bolstered their way in that tournament. No one really found a way to stop them. And they was well on a tear. They were lining it up. And it really just felt like a redemption for them. And hats off to them. You know, you couldn't say any further than that. They really showed that they were the most better team in this tournament than the others. And I just felt like in the group stage, the USA did well. But then, when it got to the knockout stages, you could kind of see, okay, this is going to be Canada's unless we can bring our A game in that final. And unfortunately, we did not bring our A game to that final. It was just a bit of a disaster, really. I mean, US didn't really show it. And I think we saw that since Beijing, where USA Hockey have made the changes that need to be made, and the program has got a lot more better. You know, 2 world goals, and so dominance over Canada last 6 international meetings leading up to Milano-Cortina. So it's going to be really, really exciting. So could we see the US get the gold back? Could be. Me and Lady, of course, don't feel good about Canada going into these games. We really don't. So we'll see how that fares. But although it's going to be very interesting. Going to be interesting to see. Yeah, and luckily, we're not in the same position we were 4 years ago. We're going to be excited. We're going to be enthusiastic. We're going to be engaged. But as mentioned, of course, obviously, Beijing, it was very hard to get excited for those Olympics, given how we were still dealing with the pandemic. But all in all, we got through it in the end. So I'll just remind you more of the medals. So Canada were the gold medalists, USA were the silver medalist, and Finland were the bronze medalist. And that is going to be it for our round recap of the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics.